Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. This video will cover everything they did in the NFL draft, free agency, and the current state of this organization. It's now or never for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is entering year 3 as a starter with the Indianapolis Colts. A few years back, they selected him in the first round. We saw CJ go in the first round with the Houston Texans and Bryce Young go in the first round, first overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. Anthony Richardson did not play that many snaps at the college level compared to other quarterbacks before. One of the main reasons why he got drafted in the first round, his athleticism and his size and his throwing ability in terms of throwing the football deep down the field. When I look at Anthony Richardson, he's an athlete playing the quarterback position. And I mean this in the most respectful way possible. I don't know if he knows how to play the quarterback position at the next level. At college, he threw a bunch of slants, a bunch of posts, and they let him work in the open field. At the NFL level, it hasn't worked out just yet. He has a very good offensive coach in Shane Steichen. As a head coach, it's still a question mark out there for him. But as an offensive coach, we got to see what Shane Steichen could do with Jalen Hurts. They went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts and that Philadelphia Eagles team. That's when they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the first matchup. We also go a couple years back. Before then, he got to work with Justin Herbert. So Shane Steichen has proved that he can be a very good offensive coach in terms of being an offensive coordinator. They were looking for their next Jalen Hurts type of quarterback with Anthony Richardson. The problem was this: Jalen Hurts played a lot of snaps at the college level with Alabama and OU. And he got coached up by Lincoln Riley, and the same with Nick Saban when he was with Alabama. You look at other quarterbacks like Justin Herbert. He played a lot of seasons at Oregon, was a top recruit. Anthony Richardson does not have that underneath his belt. He's trying to learn how to play the quarterback position on the fly. His rookie season, they should have set him down for his entire season behind Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew will never be a Super Bowl winning quarterback in terms of being the main reason to why you win a Super Bowl. And Gardner Minshew is just a solid backup. But Gardner Minshew got this team into a situation: you win, you're in. They win against the Houston Texans. If they win that matchup, they go to the NFL playoffs. It came down to the running back dropping the football late in the game on 4th down. Gardner Minshew had to come in for Anthony Richardson in his rookie season. Anthony Richardson could not stay healthy. Anthony Richardson did have 3 passing touchdowns to 1 interception, 577 passing yards. He suffered a concussion injury. That was a fluke injury in my opinion. His head smacked the turf, but he suffered a shoulder-ending injury that ended out his rookie season. So he comes back in his second year. 8 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 1,814 passing yards. Once again, he was dealing with injuries. He hurt his hip against the Steelers. Joe Flacco had to come in. He finished out the game. And to his credit, Anthony Richardson did look fine until he suffered that hip injury. The problem was this: Anthony Richardson as a passer was one of the worst passers in the NFL. Terrible completion percentage. You could say the Indianapolis Colts wide receivers, they dropped a lot of passes. Early on, they did. As the season progressed, they weren't dropping that many passes. Anthony Richardson just wasn't that accurate. And he tapped out of a game, not due to an injury, because he was tired. And he came out and he told the media that. So Shane Steichen decided to punish him. He set him down for a couple of games. They went with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco came in, had some solid moments, but that's not the plan for the Colts. They want Anthony Richardson to be that starting quarterback for the foreseeable future, and I don't blame them. They have been in quarterback hell since Andrew Luck retired. You've seen quarterbacks like Sam Ellinger, Phillip Rivers, who was their best quarterback since Andrew Luck. They made the NFL playoffs with Phillip Rivers. But you've seen Sam Ellinger, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, Anthony Richardson added into that list, Carson Wentz, all-star games for the Colts. And it's a tough situation to be placed into. No one was expecting for Andrew Luck to retire. But part of the reason why he retired, he suffered so many injuries due to a terrible offensive line. And right when they got him an offensive line, he said, nah, man, I'm good. I'm done with the injuries. I want to go home. It placed his organization to a tough spot. They need Anthony Richardson to work out. Because if he doesn't, I can see the general manager getting fired, and the same with Shane Steichen. And the reason why I bring up Chris Ballard, he's done a lot of good things. He's done a lot of bad things. They have not won their division since 2014. Within this time frame, the Jacksonville Jaguars have won this division with Blake Bortles. Let me say that again. They won this division with Blake Bortles being their starting quarterback. They had one of the best defenses that we've seen in many decades with Jacksonville, but they found a way to do it with their general manager and their complete front office. The Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill, they won this division a couple of times. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. They found a way to go to the playoffs, win some playoff games. They have an AFC Championship appearance in 2020. And the Houston Texans, this was a team that was in a rebuilding stage when they traded Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns. They're one of the worst organizations in the NFL at that time. They go up there, they get CJ, they've made the playoffs in back-to-back years. And you mean to tell me with all the talent that has turned around that the Indianapolis Colts cannot have one division title in over 10 years? That is how bad this organization has been. And even with Andrew Luck, they let him down. Ownership deserves a lot of blame in this, but I look at the general manager and I look at the coach. This was your guy, so they need him to work out. And just in case he doesn't work out, they brought in Daniel Jones in free agency. Daniel Jones is not going to come out there and be a franchise quarterback for the Colts. But right now, I do believe that he's a better passer of the football than Anthony Richardson. And we know what Daniel Jones is. He's a solid game manager at best when he's in the lineup. He had a couple of good moments with the New York Giants. They made the NFL playoffs in his first year with Brian Dable. It was him. It was Saquon. That was the best year of his career. But Daniel Jones has also dealt with injuries. You're rolling the dice here with him as a backup. If he has to come in for a couple of games, if Anthony Richardson goes down, let's knock on wood. This is a man that has a torn ACL injury, suffered a neck injury a few years back. And to take up for Daniel Jones here, and I still don't think he's the most talented quarterback to have, he was never placed into a great situation with the Giants. He was overdrafted. He never had a good offensive line. He didn't have a true number one wide receiver until they drafted Malik Neighbors in his last year. His best weapon was his running back. So maybe with a brand new coach that can work plays around him and his athleticism, he may be better. But in order for the Indianapolis Colts to work, in order for this draft to work, they need Anthony Richardson to be that franchise quarterback. He doesn't have to come out and be the next Josh Allen. We know that he'll never be an accurate thrower of the football like a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees. That's okay. But can he just go out there and improve just a little bit with his passing accuracy? That's it. And not go blind against the blitz. If he can do that, the Indianapolis Colts, they could be working with something long term. But you need to see improvement for him for this upcoming season. He's going to be in the quarterback competition this year with Daniel Jones. If he gets beat up by Daniel Jones in training camp, that should tell you everything that you need to know about Anthony Richardson. But I expect for him to get that starting job to open up the regular season. The reason why I say that, they gave him the starting job over Gardner Minshew in his rookie year. And Gardner Minshew was a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. And right now you can make the case as a thrower of the football inside the pocket, he is still a better passer than Anthony Richardson. And brings everything over to what Anthony Richardson walked into with the Colts. This was not a typical situation for a rookie quarterback. Usually when a quarterback goes to the team and he's a rookie, he's going into a completely terrible situation. It's the reason why that team had a top 5 pick or they had the first overall pick. Indianapolis, they have talent with this roster. They have a very good offensive line. You did lose Will Fries and free agency to the Minnesota Vikings, but he was part of this roster. You have a top offensive line in the AFC with Bernard Raymond, Quentin Nelson, who is still one of the best guards in football, Braden Smith. And Braden Smith did miss time on the back half of last season. He was dealing with an OCD issue. Hopefully he can get that cleared up this offseason. If he doesn't, they drafted tackle late in the NFL draft, which I'm going to touch on when I talk about their draft selections. But Braden Smith is a very good right tackle. So he has a solid offensive line. He has a very good running back in the backfield with Jonathan Taylor. He's dealt with injuries the last few years, but last season, he returned back to his former self. 1,431 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 5 yards a carry. So you have a very good running back, a very good offensive line, and you have good receivers on the outside with Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Pittman Jr., 808 receiving yards last season, 3 receiving touchdowns. He's a true number one. He's an underrated wide receiver. Part of the reason why his numbers took a dip last year, he was dealing with a back injury, and he played through that back injury. Alec Pierce became a phenomenal deep threat last year, and we saw the throw that Anthony Richardson was able to make deep down the field against the Houston Texans. He's slipping. He's able to regain his balance, throws it deep on a dime, on a straight line. That is what you want to see from Anthony Richardson moving forward. But Alec Pierce, 7 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 22 yards a catch, 824 receiving yards on only 37 catches. Get him more volume. Josh Downs is a very good slot wide receiver, 803 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. A.D. Mitchell did not have the ideal rookie season, but it was a lot of times I go back and I watch on film. The double move, he's wide open. Joe Flacco just didn't see him. Anthony Richardson didn't see him. He had some drops last year, but as the season progressed, he was getting wide open. You have 4 wide receivers that can take the top off the defense and work all over the field. The talent is around Anthony Richardson. It comes down to him. Now let's get into the NFL draft. When I look at the draft selection with the Colts, I love what they did with the 14th pick. You went with Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. He's a versatile tight end. Once again, you're adding another weapon to this offense alongside Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and the other weapons that I mentioned before. Tyler Warren has the potential to be the best receiving tight end in the NFL. That's his potential. When you look at Brock Bowers, he's undersized, and he's a phenomenal player with the Raiders based off his rookie season last year. Tyler Warren is 6'5", 256 pounds. He had 104 catches last season at Penn State, 1,233 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. This is a kicker. He has a rushing touchdown as a running back, a passing touchdown as a quarterback, and a motion amount as wide receiver. He's a versatile player. At Penn State, they ran their offense through him. It is rare at the college level to run your offense through a tight end and to get away with that every single week. And they did that. He helped out Drew Allard a lot. Drew Allard is not a bad college quarterback, but he hasn't reached his potential just yet. So a lot of times you go back and look on film. He's just throwing fade balls to Tyler Warren, and he's getting away with it in double coverage. We've seen tight ends go in the first round before. Some of them haven't panned out like Kyle Pitts. This is a different situation. Tyler Warren is also a very good run blocker. You're getting a complete tight end here. So in goal line situations, going across the middle of the field, this could be that safety blanket. And when you have a big tight end, similar to a Rob Gronkowski, and I'm not saying that he'll be the next Rob Gronkowski, when you have a big tight end on the outside, you don't have to be that accurate. Just put the football up in the air and just make sure that he can get it with the catching radius that he has. But I look at Tyler Warren and this offense with Shane Steichen, he should be able to cook every single week. Look at what he did with Dallas Goedert. And Dallas Goedert was a very good receiving tight end with Shane Steichen in those seasons with him, calling plays. So I love this pick. With the 45th pick, they went with JT, edge rusher out of Ohio State. We might as well just touch on defense right here. Their defense last season was atrocious. They couldn't stop the run. Against the pass, they were solid at times. But Gus Bradley was a terrible defensive coordinator. It was time to move on. You now bring in Coach Lou with the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the question here. Was last season more so on the Cincinnati Bengals lack of talent, or was it on Coach Lou? The Bengals had a terrible defense last season. Coach Lou was the DC. Now, we've seen Coach Lou in the past produce top defenses with the Bengals. He's one of those defensive coaches I look at. He gives a lot of problems to Patrick Mahomes. He gives a lot of problems to Josh Allen. He has a defensive mindset, but has the game passed him by. If you're getting prime Coach Lou at the defensive coordinator position, you're getting a home run hitter. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully this defense will be better than the Cincinnati Bengals defense from last season. With the edge rushers that they do have, they're stacked there. You drafted Latu in the first round a year ago, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Don't worry about the sack production. He was a rotational pass rusher last year in a bad system, and he had a high pressure rate. He's a very good disruptive player. You still have Kwity Paye, 8 sacks last season, 1 forced fumble. Grover Stewart, very good defensive tackle alongside DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner, 6.5 sacks last season. Grover Stewart was dealing with suspension. DeForest Buckner missed time with some injuries. As long as those two guys are fully healthy and they can play majority of the season, you should have a very good rushing defense, and also in terms of getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. And I look at it from this standpoint. When you drafted JT, edge out of Ohio State, 45th pick, let's get back to him. He had 21.5 tackles for loss last year, which is crazy. Just getting strictly off the edge, beating his man, beating his tackle over and over again. 12.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections. He should be very good in terms of being a rotational pass rusher early on. Do not be surprised if he comes in and he's their best pass rusher at the end of the season. That's the type of upside he has. And you're bringing back Samson Ebukam. 9.5 sacks the last time he played a full season. He missed all of last season dealing with a knee injury. but he's a very good pass rusher. So your front four to front five defensive linemen, they're going to have depth behind them. They're going to be very good against stopping the run. And having JT in the second round, that's a great pick. You could have made the case that he could have possibly been a first round pick depending on the system. But in this system with Coach Lou, he should be able to thrive. So that's a very good selection with the Indianapolis Colts. The top two picks, I agree with those moves. The 80th pick, you went with Justin Wally, cornerback out of Minnesota. He's 5'10". He's not going to be an outside cornerback consistently, but he did have a good season last season with Minnesota. In 10 games, 2 tackles for loss. He had a sack, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions went for a pick 6. He's a solid cover corner to have on the back end. This is the problem that I have with the Indianapolis Colts. You have Juju Brents. Personally, I think Juju Brents is a very good football player, but he's dealt with injuries the last 2 years. Hasn't been fully healthy. You went in free agency and you signed Charvarius Ward over from the San Francisco 49ers. He's an all-pro type of cornerback. Last season was not the best season for him. It wasn't his fault. He was dealing with death in the family to one of his kids. My prayers are with him. And he wanted to move over from the San Francisco 49ers to get a fresh start with the Colts. That's a very good football player. So to have him in the secondary mixed in with Charvarius Ward, Justin Wally, and Juju Brents, that could be a very good recipe. And once again, that mass coverage that Coach Lou loves to run should definitely work out in this system. And basically what mass coverage is, you come out in different looks. You may come out in a cover 2 one play, but it's actually cover 3. You're just basically bluffing the quarterback over and over again. You're giving him different looks. You may fake a blitz. And we've seen him do this with Patrick Mahomes in the past. Usually quarterbacks get frustrated with this. They think that they can get away with a deep bomb. The safety rotates over. You can't get away with it. So those different type of looks on the back end will come down to the coaching of Coach Lou. But the talent is most definitely there overall with the Indianapolis Colts. And you did sign Cameron Bynum as well. 3 interceptions last season, 10 pass deflections. You have Jalen Jones. So you have a bunch of depth on defense and a bunch of good players that can help you out in certain situations. You did select Jalen Travis, offensive tackle from Iowa State. 6'7", 340 pounds. He's a developmental tackle. Right now, he's more so of a swing tackle. Was very good at Iowa State. This is an insurance policy. Just in case Braden Smith goes down. He's dealing with an injury or he's dealing with an OCD issue. You slide him in. The ideal situation is for him to sit for a year and then possibly start him. You don't want to start him right now. But with the attention to detail that Shane Steichen has, if he's able to come in for 2 to 3 games, you should be fine. I like the Indianapolis Colts did this free agency period. I don't have that much belief in Daniel Jones. I'm really hoping that Daniel Jones is not the starting quarterback with the Colts. I'm so sorry. I was just saying a bunch of positive things and just taking up for Daniel Jones, and that is true. We've seen quarterbacks over the last few years like Baker Mayfield, like Geno Smith. They didn't work out in one situation. They come over to a change of scenery. They're better off. But I look at Daniel Jones. He's a better passer than Anthony Richardson. As an athlete, it's not even close. And this is back to the Anthony Richardson conversation here. And I'm not just trying to beat up on Anthony Richardson over and over again because he's had some great moments. Just so far, it's been very disappointing. This is why I disagree with the belief that you have to have a 6'5" quarterback and have a strong arm. It takes more than that to be successful in this league. The Indianapolis Colts got hit with a catfish here. Anthony Richardson should not have been a first-round pick, maybe a second or a third-round pick. That's just my opinion. Intangibles doesn't mean that they always pan out in the NFL. He's a huge specimen at that position. But it takes so much to learn and so much to operate at the quarterback position. We look on TV and we just say, hey, all you have to do is be accurate in the NFL. It's more than that. Can you deal with pressure? Can you not drift yourself into pressure? How will you look when the defensive lineman's in your face? Will you step up into your throws? Can you manipulate coverage? Can you look off a safety? Anthony Richardson can't do any of that right now. And some of that stuff is taught in high school, in college. That's why you want them to get those reps early on. You look at CJ with the Washington Commanders. Why was he so successful in his rookie season? He played a lot of college football. Arizona State. Then he went over to LSU. He was able to learn in a different system, different environments. They're crucial things to do. It's hard as hell to play the quarterback position. Defensive back may be the hardest position. You're going against a talented wide receiver every single week. But behind that position, you can say the quarterback position is the hardest position in football. It may be the hardest position when everything you have to deal with. Have to deal with your cadence, getting the offense in hurry up situations. I just look at the basic things that backup quarterbacks can do. Anthony Richardson can't even do the small things just yet. And the fact that he's dealing with these injuries, he doesn't slide in open field. He's trying to run over defensive players like TJ Watt, like Alex Highsmith. In that Steelers game, he's just taking brutal hits over and over again. He had to check out against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He rushes in for a touchdown. Your head smacks the turf. Protect yourself. We could talk about Shane Steichen saying we're not going to run him as much. Some of the times, Anthony Richardson, it's not a design run. It's a simple RPO. He just takes off with the football. And that's another situation. He's not keeping his eyes downfield. And I know it's hard. It's me saying this when I'm watching the TV. But once again, he's a professional quarterback. You have to learn the little things to go out there, look down the field, keep your eyes down the field. If you don't see anyone, then take off. Only get 3 to 5 yards, run out of the bounds. Save yourself. Live to see another day. This is why it is so important to sit down a quarterback when they're not ready to play in the NFL. You're not hurting their confidence. You can tell that quarterback, hey, we're not ready for you to play just yet, but you're still our guy in the future. And look at quarterbacks in the past. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes. They got to sit down for a couple of years. Patrick Mahomes, in his case, for 1 season, and they benefited off of that. But instead, they rushed him on the field. They wanted to see the type of product that they had on day one. If you would have set him down this rookie season, you would have avoided that major injury to his shoulder. Until this day, he is still saying that he's dealing with shoulder problems. It's not the same. Those injuries add up. I want Anthony Richardson to be the guy for the Indianapolis Colts, and hopefully that is the case, but we'll see for this upcoming season. And your division just got tougher. The Houston Texans, right now, they're the best team in this division. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we'll see how they look with Liam Cohen as a brand new head coach. They have Trevor Lawrence now and Travis Hunter, 2 quote-unquote generational talents. We'll see if that works out. The Tennessee Titans, they just went with Cam Ward. So it's a bunch of young quarterbacks in this division. Anthony Richardson has a lot to prove, and I do believe he'll have a chip on his shoulder in the offseason. And he'll work on his passing accuracy. He'll work on everything else that it takes to be a star quarterback in the NFL. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Indianapolis Colts, and what should this team do moving forward in terms of starting Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.